Linda's story time. Today we are going to share with you the story of Zaccheus. This is Jack, by the way, and he's going to act as Zaccheus. Zaccheus was a very little man. You're not very little. Can you pretend to be little? Okay, that's good. Just for the story. Okay, thank you. So Zaccheus was a very little man. And he was also a tax collector. Now, these are two things that are very important in the story. You don't really want to be a tax collector. Well, you've got to be because it's in the story. What would you like to be one day? A football player. You would say that on a night when football begins again for the first time in months. Wow. Okay. Well, you're going to have to be a tax collector for the story. Okay? Right. Are you going to let me tell it? Okay, thank you. So, let's try again. Zaccheus was a little man, important part of the story, and he was a tax collector. So every day he would go into town and sit at his table to collect the people's taxes. No, not that sort of taxi, not taxes that take them to Tesco's, taxes as in money. So money that he would then give to the Roman government, which would then pay for things like roads and hospitals and schools and aqueducts and, yeah, other things like that. Okay? Yeah, okay. So, he wasn't very popular. I'm sorry, it was part of the story. Because when he got their taxes, the people's taxes, he put some of the money in his pocket and then some he would pass to the Roman government as he was supposed to. So you see, they saw him getting richer whilst they felt as if they were getting poorer. So he didn't have many friends. Oh, look, yeah, that is a sad point, and that needs an awe, definitely. But one day, Zaccheus, who was feeling quite lonely, really, he heard that Jesus was coming to town. So he thought, I'm going to go and see Jesus. He might be able to help me. So he rushed into town in hope of seeing him. He wasn't sure if he would or not. But there were so many crowds that he had to try and leap up to see over them because he was so small, remember? And they wouldn't let him through. He tried to get through, but they wouldn't let him through. So he kept on leaping up, but still he couldn't see. So in the end, he suddenly saw a tree, a sycamore tree, and he thought, I'll climb the tree. So off he went up to the sycamore tree and he started to climb. And he climbed and he climbed and he climbed and he climbed and he climbed. And he climbed and he climbed and he climbed and he climbed. Oi! You're going to have to come down a bit. Thank you. So he got to the top of the tree and he looked out and waited to see if he could see Jesus. And there he was. He saw him coming along. And he watched as he got closer and closer and closer and closer. And Jesus stopped right underneath the tree where Zaccheus was staying. He stopped and he looked up into the tree and he looked right at Zaccheus and he said, I'm going to come to your house for tea. Is that all right? Zaccheus was shocked. He looked around to see if anybody else was sitting in the sycamore tree, but there was no one else there. So he said, my house? You want to come to my house for tea? Yes, said Jesus. Your house for tea. Wow. My house? Yes, your house. So Zaccheus leapt off the tree as quick as he could. Carefully, he didn't hurt himself. And the crowd suddenly all crowded around him and Jesus. And the crowd said to Jesus, what do you want to go to his house for? He's mean, he takes our money and he gives it to that Roman government, and sometimes he pockets more than he should. Zaccheus looked at them all and he said, sincerely said, I'm really sorry that I take the money that I do and put it in my pocket. I am really sorry. I promise that I will pay you back more than I owe you. I promise. And Jesus said, wow, Zaccheus, that's really good. God has heard you and salvation has come to your house today. And I'm coming for tea. So come on, let's go. I'm hungry. And off they went to Zaccheus' house for tea.